On the 20th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me another round of comment section misogyny. It's Podmas, bitches. I'm scrolling TikTok at 3 a.m. because my nervous system's too fucked to go to sleep and I feel too anxious to put my phone down. Is that why I'm having an existential crisis? There are always going to be a million other things you could have decided to do. I'm broken. Guys, can I just tell you that I recorded probably the first 10 minutes of this episode and I felt like I was being really entertaining, really fun. I was making lots of quick jokes, as is very easy when we're on topics like this. And then I realized my microphone wasn't on. So we're starting again. Because we're starting again, do you know what I don't want to do? I don't want to do the daily check-in, okay? I already did that and I know you didn't see it, but I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood to do the check-in again. Not in an angry way. God forbid I embody the angry female archetype, but I'm just not in the mood. And so do you know what? This is my podcast. We should all be able to do what we want to do. And you know, you don't always have to subscribe to something just because you've always subscribed to it. And so today, for Podmas Day 20, can you believe it's day 20? We've been here for 20 days. Anyway, long story long, I'm not doing the check-in today. Maybe I'm just too excited to talk about this topic and I'm excited to get into it. I was on fire 10 minutes ago, so hopefully we can bring that fire back. Do you know what my new ick is? My new ick is men who are chronically online. You might be like, Polly, why are you exacerbating gender stereotypes, differences between genders? Why are you not allowing men the same ability, the same grace to be chronically online as we are? Why aren't they affording us more money? When we're earning the same amount, I will allow us to be online the same amount. But until then, nothing gives me the ick more than men who are chronically online. And the reason is because when men just use the internet an appropriate amount, maybe they're on LinkedIn for their work, maybe they use it to research their hobbies, the kind of way that your dad uses the internet, okay? They were kind of well-adjusted humans. Do you know who are not well-adjusted humans? The men who frequent my comment section. Because well-adjusted men don't do that. One of my favorite ways that I see men try and invalidate the comments that we make or that women bring to the table about misogyny, about gender inequality, about patterns of behavior that are potentially misogynistic. The first go-to response is, this doesn't happen anymore. I made a TikTok about how I've never had a hate comment about my appearance from a woman. They're only ever from men. Like, I have had loads of hate comments from men, not a single one from a woman. And Richard East 3328, thank you for your input, Richard, said, sure, I totally believe you. And it had 3 likes. Nothing is more passive aggressive than liking a hate comment. In one of my comment sections, the gender wage gap came up and the idea that women earn less than men came up. Tale as old as time and very natural to come up. Zach123 came to the table and said, are you living in 1920? No one says these things anymore. And then in the same breath, in the same comment section, in the same thread, goes ahead and says, we don't make more, women work lower jobs. And so I thought, okay, that's an interesting take. I said, why do you think that is? And Zach said, because on average, women aren't as hard working. Do you know what my immediate reaction was? It was not, I'm scared for the future of humanity. I'm scared for the potential daughter that I may have. I'm scared for all women that are still in the dating pool looking for love in a pool of men filled like this. Do you think I thought all of those things? No, I didn't. Do you know what I thought? This is going to be a hilarious video. These videos write themselves. Men like this write these videos for me. They make my job so easy. Thank you, Zach YT123. On a serious note, it's easy for me to sit here and be facetious and flippant, sarcastic, and kind of write off these comments as idiotic and ignorant. But I do understand that this level of understanding, and I don't want to put myself in like a hierarchy and be like, I'm better than you because I understand this at a higher level than you do. There is an aspect of, I guess, like elitism and privilege to have access to this type of information, to have the freedom and the privilege to be able to research this type of information. Education is a privilege issue, and I appreciate that not everybody has access to this type of information. I think the Barbie movie is a really good example of this. There was a lot of critique that I saw anyway. I don't know if this was like an enormous critique, but some of the critique that I saw was that the themes of feminism were very, very kind of basic level, fundamental understanding, almost vapid, in that it was kind of, it goes without saying. And I think for people like myself, potentially for you as well, if you're listening to this, the way that kind of feminism was discussed in the Barbie movie was relatively basic. A lot of it kind of went without saying. And I don't necessarily think I learned anything about like gender inequality from the movie. But a lot of people would say completely differently. I think a lot of people, it kind of did expose them to maybe ideas that they'd experienced in their day-to-day life, obviously that goes without saying, but maybe had never put meaning to or never understood on a more intellectual level before. And I think that to me shows that this kind of understanding about how, to take it back to this comment, women work lower paying jobs because on average they don't work as hard, those beliefs are felt by a lot of people. And until you dig deeper and look into why there is this gender wage gap, it can be very easy to look at a situation on surface level and be like, okay, women generally work lower paying jobs. And so if they go for lower paying jobs, obviously they're going to get paid less. But this is a very important topic for everyone, including men, because the patriarchy, these gender inequalities affect everyone, including men. So it is important to understand this. So I don't want to write this off. So Mr. Bry tried to chime in and it seems like he tried to explain the gender wage gap in a way that, again, exacerbates, I think, general views as to why there is this discrepancy within pay. And he said it's because genders have different general interests. Men's interests on average lead to higher paying jobs. Okay, picture yourself going to a 4-year-old's birthday party, a 4-year-old boy's birthday party. You bring him a gift. What gift would you bring him? Now think about the types of gifts you would bring a 4-year-old girl. So if you go into your local Toys R Us and you go to the boys' toy section, it is going to be cars. It's going to be trucks. If you go to the girls' section, it is often dolls, baby Annabelles, Barbies. It is embedded into our society that there are activities for boys and there are activities for girls. There are certain things that are right for boys that boys like, and there are certain things for girls that girls like. They've been so ingrained into our society and into us as children from our parents, because it's been ingrained into them as well, that we become conditioned at a young age to kind of lean towards certain things. We get baby dolls as kids, and so that shows us, okay, you as a person, like, you're supposed to be nurturing, you're supposed to be caring and maternal, you want to look after things, you're the caretaker. And so when we say women just naturally gravitate towards roles in childcare that earn less than accountants or scientists, is it that we naturally gravitate towards them? Or is it that at such a young age, we have been fed this lie, this narrative that we lean towards babies, we lean towards caregivers, and we enjoy it because we're kids and you kind of play and enjoy a lot of things as children, but because you're given a baby, that is where you're conditioned into, okay, this is my role, these are my interests. And then they become your own. And so when you become an adult, your interests lead you into lower paying jobs. Was it natural? Is it because the umbrella term women lead to lower paying jobs? Or is it because we're taught to go to these lower paying jobs? And anyone that comes at me in the comment section saying, girls can be good at maths too, you can fuck off, because we're talking about stereotypes, because so much of this problem, and this is not the only reason why the gender wage gap exists and why women and men earn less, but the problem we're talking about right now is caused by ingrained stereotype. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about stereotypes. Obviously, girls can be good at maths. That is the point. But what's crazy is when boys are good at maths, it's kind of seen as natural talent. He's like naturally gifted. Whereas when a girl is good at maths, like I was quite good at maths in my primary school, not so much as I got older, but in my class, I was kind of one of the best at maths in my primary school. That was seen as, oh my God, she's so exceptional. She's so smart. She's so hardworking. And it's a higher achievement if you're good at maths, because you're not expected to be good at these stereotypes stereotypically male interests and kind of male dominated industries. It's a tale as old as time. Boys are led towards higher paying roles. Boys are led to maths and science, jobs in STEM, jobs in tech. Not once did I ever feel, and this isn't a blame to anyone, this is apart from society and the general patriarchy, not once did I really feel pushed towards science or maths or engineering, any of the roles that are kind of deemed the natural progression for boys. Zach also said that men have more interests in money and are more ambitious on average. Again, that is because they are taught that. Women are taught that their roles in society, or when I say women, I mean, I'm thinking young girls, are taught that their roles are to be caregivers, to be nurturing. We have babies, we play schools. It is by design. We are pushed in different directions. And this isn't me being like, fuck men. The patriarchy lets men earn money. We want to earn our own money, like hashtag girl boss. This negatively impacts men as well. When I was deemed another woman jealous of men, to which I then replied,
yeah, obviously I'm jealous of men. Don't you think I would love to be able to go for a run at 7 p.m. in the dark and not be worried that I was going to get attacked on the streets? Don't you think I would love to be a parent without having to give birth? Don't you think I would love, on average, to make 9% more a year? Obviously I'm jealous of men.
Finn was devastated. Finn said, I'd love to know that I haven't had to fight in the war. I'd love to know that I haven't had to risk my life on work. Why are you creating gender wars? Both genders have. Granted, when I looked at Finn's profile thinking, God, Finn, you're so right. Like, you're being drafted into war. Like, that is a very real fear in this kind of dystopian nightmare that we're living in. People are being drafted back to war. I know there are families in my hometown from Ukraine whose families, the men of their families, are being drafted back to war, back to their countries to fight in the war. That is terrifying and insane. Granted, when I looked at his profile, Finn is absolutely not being drafted to war. Finn is actually posting Fortnite videos on his TikTok. But sorry to create these gender wars. But the point he makes, unfortunately, does have validity. This is where all the butthurt men in my comments have it completely wrong. This system affects all of us. Like, yes, men, not Finn. Finn, let me iterate, is posting Fortnite videos. But it is so sad that our gender kind of dictates the path that we are prescribed to go down. Men are being expected to go to war. They're expected to kind of go into maths and engineering in these crazy roles. Maybe they wanted to go into fashion. Maybe they want to be parents. I just finished watching Euphoria, and the dad, is his name Cal or Carl? I don't know, the dad, Nate's dad, his whole life was kind of designed for him because at a young age, as a teenager, he noticed that he had this interest in men, but it was deemed so wrong, and he felt such an ingrained pressure from his dad. But obviously his dad is a product of the society that he grew up in, and he felt such a pressure from that he married his high school girlfriend, brought up 2 kids, and ultimately like fucked up his kids' lives because of this pressure to be the kind of strong together stereotype of a man. And that's heartbreaking. Do you know what's a tragedy? The length of paternity leave that men get versus the length that women get maternity leave. When people say this doesn't happen anymore, like give an example in real life. This was an actual comment I got. Show me an example in real life of how men and women aren't equal. Nothing shows me that women are designed for motherhood and bearing children and nothing else than the fact that men basically get 2 weeks paternity leave. I'm not a woman in STEM, correct me if I'm wrong, but they get such a fraction of the maternity leave. It's embedded into employment and the way we make money, the way that our lives are set up when you have a child, that the woman is always going to be the caregiver and the man is going to be the breadwinner. My uncle and auntie, for a long time, my auntie was the breadwinner. They have 2 children. She was the breadwinner. At their primary school, it was written down on their forms, the kids' forms, that if there was a problem with the kids during school time, call their dad. Call their dad because he will be the one that can come and look after them, that can come and pick them up because she is the breadwinner. Every single time one of them got sick and needed to call their parents, they would call the mum by default. They don't think about it. they would call the mum. And it's not the teacher's fault. This is not a discussion of like whose fault it is and everyone has an individual part to play. This is an example of how it is so embedded into us. We are so conditioned into the belief system that women are the caregivers, women bring up the children, women raise the children, that our default is children, woman. The same goes with kind of parental rights. When a couple get divorced, the default is that the child goes with the mother. It is quietly understood, well, not even quietly, kind of very, very overtly understood that it is the woman's responsibility to look after and bring up the child. And yet, we don't really get any praise for it. It's kind of universally acknowledged that this is our role that we play. And there is no praise. There's no praise for literally building, growing a child in our stomachs, birthing them out of our bodies, going through this kind of traumatic experience. I mean, I don't want to like affirm the idea that your body has to go through like trauma for pregnancy and birth, but it is this enormous change in your body and your life. You dedicate your whole life to having this child, and then it is by default that you raise it, you do everything, you do the household. The dad becomes a dad overnight. But in every moment, whenever he does the dishes or changes a nappy or looks after the baby so the mum can have a day off or looks after the baby so she can go to work, he's kind of praised and awarded accolades, and he's like all of a sudden incredible, and oh, he's so nice, he's so good to pick up his children after school. It's almost like fetishized, almost the idea that a man having a baby and like looking after his baby is like sexy and hot, whereas when a woman does it, it's just by default, it kind of goes by the wayside. It's like not interesting at all because it's what she's supposed to do. It's what we're here for. The dad bod, I think, is excruciating. It's so painful for women. The dad bod, if a dad gains a bit of weight because he's got a baby and, you know, he's like getting a bit older, we like that. We want him to have the dad bod. It's seen as like sexy and hot. It's attractive. We love it. A woman, the second she gives birth, women are already thinking, okay, how can I lose my baby weight? Let's get back on track. The amount of programs online there are to lose your baby weight, it's disgusting. It's crazy. It is just like, it just doesn't fail to amaze me. Mr. Colt, I think Colt is a red flag name. Colt's Foot 9926 said, you need to learn about men, else you'll end up single at woman crying into her glass of wine, wondering where all of the good men have gone. The statement, wondering where all the good men have gone, reminds me of Shrek. Where have all the good men gone? Where are all the something? I don't know, but that song reminds me of Shrek. Comments like, this chick is single for sure. It's like, cool, there is this enormous discrepancy between men and women and our expectations, but the biggest one of all is that we need to be desired by men. That the biggest form of an insult, the worst thing you can be, is kind of undesirable and not desired by a man. Like, if we're using the high value, low value woman labels that the internet seems to be obsessed with, which, by the way, I think is absolutely revolting. I think it is dehumanizing. I think it's disgusting. I hate nothing more online than the way that we reduce women and men, human beings, as high and low value. The idea that there could be a high value woman inherently meaning there are low value women. What does that mean? What constitutes a low value woman? Education? Attractiveness? Body count? Oh God, it's so dehumanizing. It's repulsive. We have to stop that. God. But it seems like the best way to be a low value woman is to be undesired by men and to not have a man who wants you and wants to kind of claim you and possess you as his own. It's just ooh. It's just ooh. It's disgusting. A tale as old as time. Alexa, play Taylor Swift The Man. It makes me sick. Anyway, Merry Christmas. This is very merry. This is very ho ho ho. Yes, it's Christmas, but Santa Claus is a man and Mrs. Christmas is at home cooking the mince pies. And so Christmas is as perfect time as ever to talk about misogyny. Okay, I'm done. Love you loads. See you tomorrow for the 4th last episode of Podmas. Love you so much. Mwah. Bye from Bart. Love ya.